SpongeBob game? 2-player? No one told me, well, someone told me about this, we won't mention their name. Look at all the characters. There's Gary, look. Squidward. Plankton, Robo one. Wow, they haven't held back, have they? This is looking very interesting. Oh, more bubbles. Oh, here we go. Oh, a little bit of pop in. Never mind. Okay, what's this all about then? Twin stick, projection, melee, Robo, Squidward. Right. Right. Okay. Red onions. Welcome to another 5 more PS4 Couch Co-op games with your boy Couch Co. Yes, we're starting with number 5. It is crap. It is SpongeBob. It's very new. I was duped into buying it, thinking that they might have a slight platform section. It might be 2-player side-scrolling. Man, they skimped on any video footage of this game in store. Alright, really dodgy. Like, you're like, oh, hold on. Oh, it looks like, you know, a really cool Spyro platformer. Fucking forget about it. It's a horrible, dull, mundane twin stick with nothing to offer you. Move on, peeps. Move on.
In the 21st century, nations have collapsed.
Yeah, it isn't present day it's referring to, but I love that voiceover. Love the slow scrolling. Look at the amazing backdrop of this apocalyptic universe we're dealing with here. There's barbed wire. They're not holding back. But yeah, this is Huntdown, and it's quite new, and it's only 2-player, and I would put it in firmly in the blazing chrome Contra side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. But it's got some nuances, it's got some differences to the aforementioned, and one of them is the production. The production is top level, it's beautiful, it's really well done. It's made by people who understand the art style, the music, everything, and the character design and their voices. It's taken really seriously, it's beautiful, despite the fact that you're looking at some absolutely hilarious stuff. Look at this pan around of the dashboard. I love that shopping list. What's that? Dog food and rat poison. My God, that must be DLC on the way. Also, a anti-nuclear keyring. None of that makes sense, seeing as you're a murderer. Look at that guy lifting up his shirt on the far right. Look at the abs. And he's showing the knife off. That's a loading screen, I tell you. So let me just get serious for a minute. The game actually gets you to fight gang. A bit like gangs in New York, it's quite cool. They've all got themes. And you saw this was the hooligans. This is the first gang that we're fighting. So all the enemies are themed. Testing out that car bounce mechanics there, and we're getting familiar with the moves. Now, the person I'm playing with, this is their first playthrough of this game, so that is how accessible it is really to someone who's not familiar with this side-scrolling shooting genre. And there's cool bits of cover. Not a Broforce level of difficulty, which is quite welcome, but some complexities in how the game wants you to play it. Like, there's background cover on the back parallax screen, right? So you can push up and sink into the background. It's a really cool idea, and there's loads and loads of pickups and strange mad melee weapons that can result in some very brutal kills. It is quite a cool looking game in regards to the pixelated gore. I love that stuff, but I was really impressed with the take cover technique. I thought that was a really good idea.
Take cover!
Controls wise, we're looking at the standard stuff, but there is this slide on one of the R buttons. It takes a while to get your head around it, but it's one of these immunity slides, which is bloody handy, and it also sort of results in a slam as well. But this game's got some sort of modern aspects to it in regards to that immunity window on that slide. It kind of asks you to use it all the time. Some of the boss fights can only be beaten utilising that slide, so that needs to be bared in mind when it comes to late gameplay.
Now we're talking.
Level variation isn't massive. I'm only going to show you the first one. It doesn't step out of any big parameters, a bit like its predecessor type games. It's a familiar universe, and I really like that. It's not vastly expensive. We're looking at about 20 quid, and I haven't seen any evidence of this being physical. You might well get a Switch physical available for it. I think because it's quite new, it's probably only digital. But this boss with the dumbbells and the soundtrack and the chaos definitely works.
Just don't mess with the hoodoo dolls.
One of the things that does stand out about it for me is that you can only fire parallel to the ground. There's none of this diagonal, you know, multi-directional shooting, and that really harks it back to the old school with me. It's kind of locked in and kind of feels cool because you've got to get elevation to shoot stuff. It was weird to have that again. I think it's been so long since I've been locked into a singular fire direction, and you don't realise how big a mechanic that actually is until you don't have a choice. But it's cool, and this boss fight was awesome. Back to the slide and dodge. Took us a while to get it worked out. Some of us get kicked out of the ring and have to fight randoms out. It's awesome, and I enjoyed it. It's fourth on the list, shouldn't be sniffed at. I put it up there with Blazing Chrome. So it's back to the ARPG camp we go, and we're looking at another kind of a Diablo 3 clone. This one is older, recommended to me by a listener, thank you very much. Had to go back to about 2018, I think it is. But look at this art style, look at this. This is something that's got some effort behind it. You can straight up see that this isn't, you know, a lightly done small studio. This is not the real Frostbite. Frozen by engine, dyslexic among you would have got excited like me. But look at that content already. We can see that there's some free stuff bowled in because of this game's age. It's obviously done quite well and got some added content behind it.
Advanced studies until further notice.
It is very much swords and sorcery, more sorcery than sword. I tell you what, this is almost identical to Magicka 2, right? Magicka 2 is a phenomenal game, you guys know about this, and that's up to 4 player, but it's got this same beam-like control mechanism and choosing the different spells set up that game does so well. Da, 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 da. You can cross the beams, and each class has a different selection of 3 magic spell types. The lady has got a heal and some electric stuff, but the bloke's got some proper, really dangerous stuff, including a bomb area, and incidentally, you can heal the enemies. There's so many Magicka similarities actually, and there's a friendly fire system, so you do have to be kind of on the ball and communicating, which, as you know, I'm a big fan of. It's almost a Trine level of production, right? I was very impressed with how this game looked, and I'm also impressed with how massive the loot system seems to be, both cosmetically and the RPG elements. They are massive. The skill trees are huge. I can see all these unlocks. We're at the base level of just about all our powers, and I'm so keen to see how you can change things up, how things can look different, how you can make your character look different. We've already got our amazing purple hats, so things are going in the right direction. Where would I pitch it? In the great list of all of the ARPGs on the PlayStation 4, it's a really tough one. It's not Children of Morta, but it's certainly on par with Diablo 3, I can tell you that much. It's certainly probably a lot cheaper than Diablo 3 as well. And if you've, again, exhausted that content, or aren't a big fan of, you know, crazy roguelike 8-bit ARPGs, this is cool. And man, the boss fights, I was thinking, what's this game doing wrong? It's going to be weak somewhere, and it certainly wasn't the boss fights. So, parchments. There's 9 of them. Go and get them. Not only have you given us another ARPG, again, twice in a row, but this is a damn repeat, Coop. Cheap and dirty. This is my philosophy, right, on my repeats. I'll do a repeat, but a repeat will occur, won't it, when I review it on its own as a standalone entity. Let's look at Darksiders. Some of the big, if a big 2-player couch co-op game comes out, if it's AAA, I'll review it on its own. Then it gets thrown into a list. So, the good news for that for you guys is, normally when I do that initial review, it's a test. I'm like in there trying to work out if it's shit.
I make myself a snack.
And whether the frame rates are operating correctly, that sort of stuff. But now I've had this game for months now, and this is not, I wouldn't say late game footage, but this is really mid-tier stuff. And the amazing symphony that goes on when things get difficult in this game is brilliant. It goes up a notch. Same thing with Children of Morta. When I first looked at that game, I was like, whoa, there's something incredible here. Then you realised it was my game of the year 2019. Not exactly the same things happening here, but man, we've got a rhythm going, and it's so good. Perfectly pacing the difficulty of an enemy type that I'm having to deal with and the problems that they throw up. So we're now having these sort of multi-leveled evil dudes that are protecting people. We have to get to the back of the pack. It changes stuff. And we've also got a lot of alternative moves available to us now that aren't just the weapon moves. There's this cool horn. I've got an electrified roll. It's giving to me everywhere. I loved it. And it is a purposely addictive loot system with its color coding and its leveling. You know, that fruit machine mentality. But deep down, it's made by people who understand what's good about these games. That this game's really good. Got so much respect for them avoiding any stupid microtransaction stuff. Like, it's nowhere. It's all about the game and whether you can actually beat it, you know, off your own merit, not with some special bought in amazing loot or armor. And it also has a slight roguey aspect to it, with only giving you 3 lives to share during an actual level or run. So I love that. I love the risk. In Diablo, you don't have risk, do you? Sometimes. It's just like, let's just keep going. And you don't have bosses that can generally swing around and one-shot you. That's cool, and it's great to see the game get nice and hard and give me some mental stuff. Again, where do I position it out of all of the ARPGs that are available now in the system? And this one's right behind Children of Morta, and that's a big accolade from me, as you guys well know. So if you've not visited this game, or if you've turned your nose up at it because you think it's a load of Minecraft shite, don't. Just do quickly blue boily before the big reveal. A lot of you who've been with me for a while will know that I have a day job, so you don't have to hear me talk about chemical powder or shaving your balls. My content doesn't suffer. But recently I've seen a bit of a decrease in the numbers on the Couch Co-op videos. That's why I've pulled this up. If this is the first time you found this, or if you're not aware of my playlists, they're all in there. I put almost 55 Couch Co-op videos in that playlist now, so pop in there. And I will collate them all in the greatest, I will. But for the time being, every video you're going to need on the Couch Co-op front is in one place on that playlist. So two things first. Every friggin' time I buy a game that's not on my PlayStation 4, I purely buy it because the hope of it ever being on the PlayStation 4 is like a Halo game. Do you know what I mean? I own, and every damn time, lo and behold, it appears on the system. Vanquish, I'm not going to moan about it, but it's getting ridiculous now. Cuphead is here on the PlayStation 4. Now, the second thing, you know how I heard about this? Do you know what? I think I overheard someone talking about it at a bus stop. I shit you not. No, I'm lying. Someone put it in a comment. A Brazilian gentleman put it in a comment and said, by the way, it's available on the Cuphead's available on the PlayStation 4 store, because I had it as a PC review about 4 months ago. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know, and I thought, I bet just look at that link. Nearly fell off my chair. Sony, why didn't you put a banner up? You need to sack some people, okay? It's now in the store, yeah, under new releases, but you should have had a countdown to Cuphead clock going. I would have manned that. I'm angry, but I'm happy, all at the same time. And I started thinking, because I was in the PR business, maybe there was a gagging order. Maybe they weren't allowed to scream and shout about it. I remember, I used to live in Brixton. I remember getting up one morning and going to get the tube, and right next to me under that bridge, right opposite the railway station, was this amazing banner ad for BioShock coming out on the PlayStation 3. Because it came out on the Xbox 360 way before, it wasn't even a thing, and then all of a sudden Sony were like, we've got BioShock, and it was such a cool advert. It was the little sister next to the big daddy. It was one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. It was a good 10-15 years ago now, but the point I'm making is they screamed from the top of the trees about it. Not with this, so I riddle that for me, please, everybody. But holy crap, it's on the PlayStation Pro. It's the best side-scrolling platformer of all time, I think, because of the art style, giving it that edge, and because of its modern take on the genre, and because of its flawlessly designed ground-up build for 2 people. What with that parry mechanic giving you a comeback, it's so good, and it is so hard as well. It lasts you ages. this is a game that will go down in history, I think. I'd love to know the numbers on it, about how much it's sold and where it stands in line with a lot of other indie software games, because it's got to be up there with one of the top sellers, and for damn good reason. Damn good reason.
A great slam and that stuff. It's on.
Is it for all the family though? Because it's not Rayman Legends, is it? It's not Super Mario Maker, you know? It's kind of a bit of a spiky piece of software if you've got younger kids who aren't familiar or like learning curves like this. But this is a mates game, right? This is like pound it for hours, death after death, shouting and screaming at each other. There's falling ins, there's falling outs, there's controllers getting thrown. You have to wipe down your TV screen because of the spittle from the abuse. You're firing at both the machine and the person sitting next to you. I'm great to play games with, I promise. So what we got next? Halo Wars 2 coming out, is it? Quantum Break, are we going to get a sequel to that exclusive to the PlayStation 5? I mean, the industry's gone mental. I think it's because Microsoft, and it probably shows with the Minecraft game being available on all platforms as well. That was billed as an exclusive. I swear that Minecraft Dungeon was billed as an exclusive. I think Microsoft and the Xbox teams are loosening things now and just letting everybody have access to all of this cool stuff, because I don't think that machine sold that well, and of course they're in for a rocky ride if the PlayStation 5 is any way as good as the PlayStation 4 was. And of course we've seen the Microsoft conferences. Nothing is knocking me off my chair just yet, but Halo Infinite maybe, but distracted because I'm looking at the gameplay here. Schedule-wise, I've snuck in moving again. I'm actually nearly done it this time. So my internet, I'm overlapping internet providers, so I'm not going to be down for 10 days. What the actual? Currently playing Other Side, spelled with a C, which is a turn-based roguelike. Project Cars 3's out. Headphone Youth!